Hello, this is Brett from Survival Comms, and today we're going to discuss one of the best values in tactical FM portable radios, the Motorola HT1000. When we use the word tactical in tactical FM portable radio, tactical is not necessarily meaning guns and camo. It means that it's an adjunct to task accomplishment. When we use the term FM, FM means these radios are FM, frequency modulated radios. These radios are Part 90 radios, and these are D-revision radios, which means that they are capable of narrowband. And the term portable meaning that it's a portable radio, meaning that you place a battery pack on the back of it and you can place this on or about your person and carry out your tasks. These radios can typically be had for $10 and up, sometimes as little as $5 depending on how many you're buying. And they're an excellent value. These radios are of outstanding quality, and those of you who perhaps worked in public safety at one time or another may be familiar with using one of these in performance of your duties. And these radios at one time were pretty much the entry level for the high tier product line at the time for the manufacturer. These are extremely simple radios to operate. There's a volume control and a channel selector, a 3-position switch, an emergency button, and you have your push to talk and 3 other option buttons on top. And this radio's strength is its simplicity, meaning that you could take this radio and give this radio to an inexperienced radio operator, and in less time than it takes to watch this video, you could give them a basic class and they could be an effective user of this equipment. These radios were manufactured in VHF, UHF, and 800 megahertz. How to identify the different models? Let's say that you find several HT1000s at a hamfest or on an auction site or whatever have you, and you want to identify what types of radio they are. If we look at our identity tag here for the radio, which is on the back side of the frame here, zooming in on this model tag, we're going to talk about what is important to you as the end user or purchaser of this equipment. This model number is a 12-character string, and each one of these characters represents a specific feature of the radio, and we're going to go over the ones that are important to you if you're procuring these radios. You can see position number 4 indicates band split. The radios don't say VHF or UHF or 800 on them. They identify their band split by character number 4, which K is a VHF, R is a UHF 403, 470, S is a UHF T-band, which is 450 to 520, and U is typically 800 megahertz, 806 to 870. The 5th character represents power output, and the majority of the ones you're going to encounter are going to be Ds, which is 4 to 5 watts of power. Position 7 tells us the channel spacing of the radio, and almost all the examples you're going to encounter are going to be a 9, which is variable programmable. And the last character that's important to us is number 11. And number 11 represents the revision of the radio. And in the example of the HT1000, the last revision was revision D, the D revision radio, which will support selectable bandwidth, meaning they'll operate in wideband and narrowband. However, the VHF models do have issues trying to enter 7.5 kilohertz channels, or also known as splinter channels. For operation in amateur radio spectrum, this is not a consideration, but for those of you who may be looking for radios for your business that operate in Part 90 spectrum, this is definitely a consideration. As seen here, I paid $25 per radio. However, that's complete with the microphone and the charger. These aren't rapid chargers, these are standard rate chargers, which is a benefit because they are designed for NiCad batteries. However, being that they are a slow rate charger, if you put a nickel metal hydride battery in it, it's not going to boil a battery as it could possibly do so in a non-multi-chemistry rapid charger. Batteries aren't a real big issue, however, because there is a rather large aftermarket as far as manufacturing batteries to keep you from having to pay the premium for Motorola new old stock. The bottom of the barrel, the least expensive ones are these Chinese ones here, which actually give fairly good service, and this is a 2100 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride battery pack, and these go for less than $15 a battery, and they include a belt clip. The microphones as supplied with these radios that I purchased here are of the public safety variety, and these are in excellent repair. All the strain reliefs are still intact, and they're clean. And when I say the public safety variety, what they're designed to do is they have an RF cable in here that actually allows you to affix an antenna to the top of the microphone, meaning the portable radio can be on the user's belt and the microphone on an epaulet, and provide a improved signal strength condition, especially when seated in an automobile. These microphones are only practical for UHF and 800 megahertz versions of this radio, and the way they operate is on the universal connector. You can see this fixed metal pin. This fixed metal pin indexes on this switch, and what this switch does is when depressed it routes the RF from the on radio RF connector up the internal coaxial cable to this RF connector on the microphone itself. This is an example of the radio configured for service utilizing the public safety microphone. The HT1000 will also function with other varieties of microphone that utilize the same universal connector, although in your later generation of microphones designed for the XTS series and above, the button functionalities are not operable. The advantage or disadvantage of a radio such as this is the necessity of using a computer to program the radio. The advantage would be you don't want an inexperienced user stumbling around through menus and changing things in the radio that will affect its proper operation. The downside is that you do end up having to hook the radio to a computer in order to make changes to the radio itself. And the software itself runs in a MS-DOS environment. Now, there are people who have run the software in a DOS box in earlier versions of Windows or in dual boot systems, so your mileage may vary. We're not going to go extremely in detail through the software, but you can see here we have on channel 1 how we have it set up here. Setting up this is just for our side buttons here. We can step through whatever options we want to have set up for this particular radio on the side, which is nice because between these 3 buttons and this switch right here and setting up the different options, instead of using a complicated menu arrangement to activate features that are programmed into the radio that are used on a regular basis, this is a much more foolproof way of utilizing the functionality. The HT1000 requires a programming interface to interface between the computer and the portable radio, and this is all factory stuff here. This is a Motorola rib box, which is a radio interface box, which these can be had very inexpensively now. The cable is a Motorola programming cable and a test cable, and then you have a cable that hooks to a DB9. This connector is a service connector, and it's a multi-pin variety. It's designed to interface into this Motorola RTX 4005B box, and what this does is this box assists you in aligning and servicing the radio. In testing receiver sensitivity, we can see that we're supposed to be at 12 dB a synad at 0.28 microvolts, and we're at 12 dB a synad at 0.233 microvolts. And this is what the audio would sound like at that signal strength. This is our transmitter performance on a battery pack. You can see that we're on frequency, and our power output is 4.2 watts. And our deviation is greater than 3.8 kilohertz, but less than 5 kilohertz at deviation, so we're good to go. Disassembled one of these radios for your viewing pleasure to its sub-assemblies. This is our frame of the radio. The frame of the radio is cast of metal. It functions as a heat sink and as a ground plane for the radio itself. Your RF connector is at the top, and your power plugs go through your RF board and exit here and make contact with the battery pack on the back side of the frame. The gasket surrounds the perimeter of the frame between the frame and the housing of the radio and ensures a weather-tight seal. This is our RF board. Our RF board is actually the radio component of the radio. And this is the controller. The controller is the brains of the radio that contains the model information, it contains the tuning information, and the specific personality of the radio. This is an interconnect board that connects the RF board and the controller together, and this small protective cap covers these 2 battery contacts right here. It protects those. This is our shield of the radio, which snaps over top of this assembly and holds it all together. And this also has the volume control potentiometer and on-off switch, and the channel selector knob, the 3-position switch, the programmable option button on top, also known as the emergency button, the 3 programmable option buttons on the left side of the radio, and the push to talk switch is part of that flex. This flex plugs into the controller here. User control wise, this orange seal is for our programmable button on top of the portable radio. This knob is for your on, off, and volume control potentiometer, and this is your channel selector switch. This is our housing. Our housing contains another flex, and this flex right here has our speaker, our microphone, interfaces with the universal connector on the side of the radio, and plugs into the controller right here. The HT1000, due to its low surplus price point, simplicity, proven service record, and prevalence, provides for an excellent choice for individuals or groups looking for a tactical FM portable radio. Sally forth, save the radios. I hope this helps. This is Brett from Survival Comms. Till next time.